And welcome back to Nevada County Media's broadcast here from Victorian Christmas here in beautiful Nevada City. My name is Chris Quant. I am your host for this evening, and I have another guest joining me here. Go ahead and say your name.
Hello, everyone. My name is Todd, and I'm the new owner of the hat store.
The new owner of the... Okay, so talk me through the hat store. How did you become the new owner of the hat store?
Well, I've known the previous owner. So the store's been there for 40 years.
Okay.
And the previous owners had it for 26 years, and they were ready to throw in the towel and go to retirement. And I've known them for about 20 years now. And it was just a good fit. The timing was right for me, and we decided to, hey, I want to do something different, and let's go for it.
Okay, yeah. I love it. So have you always... Well, I'm going to make a big assumption here because I haven't been there. Do you sell hats?
We
Okay.
Yes,
just want to make sure that that's what we're talking about.
It's actually a common question for us. People walk into
the
hat store. It is actually. They walk into the hat. Is it just hats here? Yep, mostly.
We've got a great selection of bagels in the back too, but stay tuned for that. So, what have you always had an interest in hats, or you just wanted to be a store owner, or what?
So I've been doing software and technology and graphics and things like that for a long time, and I moved up here in 2006. And in fact, I worked right up the street here. We worked on a very popular video game called Guitar Hero that you may have
No, get out of here. Oh my gosh, we played that so much.
It was actually Guitar Hero 3, number 3. And so I worked on that as an environment artist. So I did some of the backgrounds and things.
No kidding.
So after that, I've been kind of doing websites. I've worked on a lot of local regional websites for people like the Miners Foundry and the Nevada Theater here across the street and other things like that, in-town campground. And I just decided, after sitting down for 25 years, it was time to stand.
No kidding. Yeah, I was going to say, that's quite the pivot then, going from software to being a shop owner, basically.
It is. It's a little bit of a different take. So I thought it would be kind of a fun new thing to try, and hey, why not?
Wow. Yeah. Okay. So talk me through some of that. Now, first of all, where are you located? And then talk me through some of the merch that we got there in the store.
Okay, very good. So we're located at 314 Broad Street in Nevada City. It's basically right across the street from City Hall, just about. So right on the main drag of Broad Street.
Yeah.
And as far as the merchandise, it's mostly hats. And so I say all types of hats for all types of people.
Nice. Okay. So talk me through some of the hats. I'm sure they have names like where I would say that's a bowler that you're wearing.
That's correct. So this would be like a bowler or a derby, and you have a top hat on. We carry all these hats.
Yeah.
We have some very nice Panama hats in the summertime, like straw hats. We have all sorts. So we have leather hats, we have cowboy hats, we have various brands like Stetson for hats, things like that. So we do fur felt, we do wool felt this time of the year is great, and we do all sorts of sun hats in the summertime and some outdoor recreational hats, some ball caps, and we do a lot of driving caps as well, Kangol, things like that. So
So who's the who comes in just looking for a hat? Who is that?
A lot of people. It ranges from locals to the tourists that come through town. And we just in June we have a lot of people. There's a lot of weddings in town, so we have a lot of wedding guests that come in and they look for a hat. It's really kind of varies. Nights like tonight on Victorian Christmas, it's packed with people looking for all just different types of hats, sometimes for gifts or just a fun hat to wear for the evening.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I would imagine, are there seasonal hats? Do the hats change throughout the seasons, or do they pretty much stay the same throughout the year?
That's a very good question.
Well, thank you. I just thought of it.
They do, in fact, yes. There are hat seasons, so we can only get certain types of hats during certain times of the year.
Okay.
So right now, of course, we're in like the fall, winter season, and then you have spring and summer, which we kind of change the store around depending on what's needed for that time of the year. So we get a big shipment of spring hats in, and then the store kind of shifts into like spring, summertime mode.
Okay.
So all those hats are out, and then more and more people we're finding are wearing like fall, winter style hats all year round. So I guess it's like a trend to wear like wool felt hats this time of the year, or all times of year.
Okay.
So,
Wow. So are there more popular hats during the season? So you just mentioned maybe the felt ones, but do you see more go out the door during certain times?
This time of the year, just with the last Victorian Christmas, I had to do a big order of top hats and bowlers and derbies and all those.
Makes sense.
Yeah, and of course we get some fun Christmas hats in and holiday hats, things like that.
Yeah.
So But yeah, I would say in the summer, a lot of wide brim sun hats. Sometimes they have venting in them to keep your head as cool as you can while you're still wearing a hat, but still protect your face and your body from the sun as much as possible. So,
absolutely. Pretty steady stream of business coming in for hats.
Generally speaking, and we're sort of known as a destination store to some degree. There's not a lot of hat stores out there. Yeah. People say, really the closest next one I think is in Berkeley, maybe.
Okay.
So there's just there's a lot of sports hat stores, but there's not really many general hat stores like we are. Right.
Do people intentionally come? Because if I'm putting myself just walking down Broad Street here, that's definitely a store that I would go into, just going like,
hats.
A hat store. I'm so curious about that. What do they? Is that kind of like a lot of people come in just curious?
It is very, very common type of a thing. I hear all day long people walking by going, "Oh, hats! A hat store!" And they come in, they try their hats on. Sometimes they call their significant other to verify that this is indeed a good idea to purchase a hat and to get the buy-in.
Really? Okay.
Common, yeah. Sometimes they FaceTime with whoever.
I was going to ask that. Yeah. The phones are out. We're checking the different angles and everything like that. Okay.
We had a guy come in and he picked out 4 hats, took his time, and then set his phone up on the counter, FaceTimed his wife, and they made the decision together from afar.
Okay. So do you remember what the decision was? What was the winner?
It was a very nice hat by a company called Stefano, which makes they're based in Italy.
Okay.
And they make nice wool felt hats, and they make nice Panama hats and things in the summertime. But kind of what we call like a down brim or outback shape hat, where it's kind of a down brim hat with a pinch crown like you would see on a fedora or something like that. So very nice, just a brown hat with a very nice band. He didn't want to go Western. He said, everyone in my family has Western, so I don't want to go Western. And so he just went with the nice hat.
No kidding. So I fully admit I am borrowing this hat from a local theater company.
Of course.
And it just happened to fit. Right. So is there tailoring to hat? Is hat tailoring a thing?
That's
sizing them?
Another very good question.
Okay. Well, because sometimes I can't, I was surprised that it actually fit because I can't get them to fit that well sometimes.
Right. So hats, a lot of the women's hats we get are kind of like a one size type of a hat where they have an adjustable drawstring on the inside. So they'll fit like kind of a medium or a small, large type of a head. And then you could kind of pull this drawstring and tighten it down. A lot of the hats for men are really just other nicer hats, the higher end hats or the medium to higher end hats. They're sized like small, medium, large, extra large, or they might be sized according to like the 1/8 of an inch. So 7 1/8, 7 and 3/8, and so forth, stuff like that.
Yeah.
But as far as sizing goes, we always have like a hat sizing reducing tape we could put in there, and that will make the hat size kind of snug to your head.
Yeah.
One thing we get, it's a common question, people ask, can I make my small hat bigger? And that's a little bit of a tougher
interesting.
one.
Yeah.
Where they find a hat from like their grandpa hat.
Yes.
Throughout time, our human heads are getting larger, I think.
I was going to say, my grandfather's fedora that he would wear back in the day, like they all wore the fedoras, like that doesn't fit on my head at all. Yeah, it was much smaller.
People's heads were smaller, even as soon as 30, 40 years ago.
Yeah.
We have some vintage hats in the store, and a lot of them are like size 7, where that's pretty small by today's standard. It's like that's our small size usually, and so it's hard to fit those, of course. But they do make a hat stretcher, and we have this kind of thing. It's called the hat jack, and it's like a shoe sizer where you can kind of put in and like crank it up, and it'll scale up your hat by about an 1/8 of an inch or so.
I'm guessing it doesn't relate to shoe sizes at all, right? It's not quite the same. So can you kind of tell from what the hat that I'm wearing what size hat? I don't even know if it says. It doesn't even say.
It kind of looks like, I would say a medium, or it's hard to guess people's head size.
I was wondering if you could do that, just like size them up. Yeah, your head size looks about like that.
I try. I make an effort. But I'm like maybe a 50-50 on that right now.
Okay.
Maybe I'll get better at that over time. But I do find that it kind of depends. I've had children come in and they say, my head's pretty big, and I'm like, no, it doesn't look big to me, but sure enough, it's like it's a fairly large, and it all depends on the width of your hair, how much hair you have, even just the body types. We have people that come in with very small heads, people that come in with very large heads, and everything in between.
Everybody's an individual, right? Everybody got their own size of head. I like to think if we're getting smarter, that's why our heads are getting bigger.
That's what everyone, more brains.
Yeah, exactly. That might be a subjective term there, but how long has it taken you to kind of get into kind of learn the hat business? And I mean, it's coming from software, I would imagine you didn't have any much experience.
Right,
so
it's a little bit different, and fortunately the previous owners are kind of on hand to help out a little bit.
Okay,
and so
nice.
they've been helping with the transition process here, which
Yeah.
has been great.
Yeah.
In fact, they're both there working now in the store, and so they
gives you time to do these lucrative media interviews here. Do the media junket tour.
Right,
Yeah.
so it's but I would say I've always enjoyed hats, and I've known a little bit about it. I've definitely learned a lot in about 6 months or so since we've taken over the store. So I'm generally speaking a fairly quick learner, I'd like to think, but yeah, it's been, I did have a lot to learn. There's some questions I just didn't really have a great answer to at first,
Sure.
but you learn every day. You just keep working hard every day, and you'll get there over time.
Yeah,
So,
I imagine just Google play into the research.
bit.
You can just kind of maybe look something up, or like, that's an interesting question.
You can, absolutely, yeah.
Okay.
Look up the types of hats for people or what they're looking. A lot of people come in, I saw a hat on a celebrity or from a movie or something like that, and you're kind of like, I don't know what that hat is, and you kind of have to look it up and check it out.
So now, do you guys do hat repair at all? Like you were saying, if people bring in their parents' hats or relatives' hats that are older, is that something you do?
All right, that's another good question here.
Thanks, just thought it up again off the top of my head.
You're hitting all the great the great answers. I would say that we try to do our best. We don't have like a professional hat cleaning staff or like a lot of people. So there's cleaning the hat, there's shaping the hat, because you can reshape the hats to be like a custom shape for your own head. So a lot of people, particularly in the Western hat world, they like to have a very custom shape for their hat, or a very they see it on a certain person, like I want it to be like angular this way, and so they'll come in and ask for that. And I would say, like, I always have a pretty positive attitude. Like, I'll try to do kind of anything, assuming we're not super busy or something like that. But I try, and I'll clean up the hats. We had a guy who came in, and his hat was smashed in the seat of his car for 3 years, like folded down into the gear of the hinge.
Yeah.
And he came in, and it was filthy, and it was dirty, and it had little metal hinge things in it. And we have a steamer, and I steamed it. I took our brush and brushed all the dust and dirt off, and I took masking tape and kind of patted it all down and cleaned it up. And by the end of it, it was like back to its regular form, pretty much. It wasn't perfect, but he's like, "Hey, I can wear this hat again."
Nice, the hat miracle worker.
Yeah, exactly. We try.
You're like, I work with what I got. So
right. What can we do?
That's fantastic. Yeah. So I know it's been a little bit limited amount of time here, but maybe the most exotic hat that's come across your hands so far?
That's a good question too. Exotic hats. So
or unique, maybe.
Right.
Or,
Well, so we have a couple. We have a couple of vintage hats in the store. So we have like your kind of fez is sort of a fun one where it's like got sparkly things on it. But we have some like Monte Cristi hats, which are like hand woven hats, and they take about 3 months or more to weave. They're hand woven. And the price is kind of reflected in the amount of time that it takes to make it.
That question's coming up, Todd. We're going to talk brass tacks here in a minute, because I'm so curious on what a hat could run somebody. But what's a range for a hat? I mean, is it high to low? I don't even like pricing a hat. I don't even know.
So we try to stock hats that are sort of medium to higher quality hats, and we tend to try to steer away from hats that we think are going to be really cheap or fall apart. So in our store, we kind of start. It depends like on the type of hat. But a lot of them in like the $30, $40, $50, $60 range, maybe $70, $80. And then some of the hats kind of are just getting into the like $100, $110, $120 range. And then some of the fur felt hats, the cowboy hats, and some of the nice fedora shaped hats that we call like dress hats. Those can be like in the $200 plus. They can be
interesting.
$200 to $300 kind of a range for those.
Okay.
And then some of the finer, like the Panama hats, can also be like the $100 to $250 range, and like the Monte Cristi one that I mentioned, those can kind of get to the $500 or $600 to about $1,500 or more range. And
So I'll be honest, I didn't expect that, but also that's not as expensive as I was thinking. Some of these, like, because I'm imagining these are very well made hats. You're probably going to have very quality hats.
Sure, absolutely. Yeah, we have some nice dense fur felt hats. Like the Stetson hats can be like they go like an X system of like 2X, 4X, 6X. They go up to like 1,000X, and those hats can be several $1,000s.
Really?
And then there's hat bands. There's accessories for the hat. So
really? Oh my! I could talk to you for hours, Todd. I think this is fantastic. So I'm being a software guy. I imagine you have a website. There's a phone number where people can find you, email, all that good stuff. How can people get a hold of you?
Very good. So we do have a website, and it's www.the-hat-store.com.
I love it.
So that's our .com. We do have we don't have an online store yet. We're going to be working on the previous owners were very paper and pencil oriented, and they didn't have a proper full inventory system. So we'll be adding that in after the holidays, and then we'll be working on like an e-commerce store as well.
Awesome. So one more time, the name of the store, where the heck you're located here in Nevada City?
It's the Hat Store, and we're at 314 Broad Street, right here in the heart of Nevada City. Once again, it's the-hat-store.com. And we have a phone number. You can look us up on Google, and we have a business listing and everything there. So yeah.
Todd, like I said, I could talk to you about this for hours. We got to take a break though. Thank you so much. If I can get some knuckles from you, that was awesome. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
We'll be sure to visit by and not just go, that's an interesting store. We're gonna walk in and see it. So thanks so much, Todd, for being here. We're gonna go to commercial. We'll be right back in just a minute.